Okay, it's 4:01, we have a quorum. Welcome. All right, just as folks are trickling in, just a few reminders. We are changing up how public comment works at this meeting, so thank you everyone for for trying out this new experiment with us that the rest of the county has been doing. So the first public comment will be about whatever, just as we have been doing. You have your 3 minutes. If you could please sign in at the sign-in sheet, that would be great. Rather than have a general public comment at the end of the meeting, we will be breaking it up by action item. So you can make a public comment for each action item, but it must be limited to that action item. So if you start talking about something that deviates from the content of that action item specifically, you will be asked to stop speaking.
We have an agenda.
We do have an agenda.
Present.
We can get a copy or.
If you've been on the website, we can print copies. We have copies. Cool, there you go.
Jana, will you? Yeah, Jana will make some copies.
How many would we like? So like 40, 25, 15?
How many are there?
They can be counts.
I brought one.
Okay. So that is the plan there. What else? If you are new, I think pretty much everybody here has been here before, but just a quick reminder, because we do have a little bit of a crowd today. Please sign in. Your public comment needs to address the entire board. It can't be a specific individual, and we cannot have a conversation with you during your public comment. So if we are not responding to you, it's not that we are dismissing what you're saying. We are legally bound to sit here and keep our faces shut. Okay?
Open meeting law.
Open meeting laws. And third, thank you so much for coming to the library meeting. I love the civic engagement. Welcome, and this is fantastic. So very exciting. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Let's start with an online person. I'll grab the list for you.
Thank you.
We need a roll call. Oh, we need to do roll call. Or can I start with roll call?
You do roll call first. It's the first thing.
Here
And Diane present.
Leah Moser present.
Amy Galeri present.
Frank Perez present.
Frank's online.
Frank. Okay, who's online? I'm sorry.
Frank Perez is online.
Great. Okay, public comment. You want to start online?
Do we have any online? I don't have anyone's hands raised at this point.
Raise?
No.
Okay, if you're online, you have to raise your hand, and you'll be up next. Bruce, looks like you're up first today.
Bruce Parks for the record, once again. You know why I'm here.
Bruce, excuse me, could you please stand at the podium for your comment? Right back there. Thank you so much.
Oh,
No.
stay alive, Bruce. Right. Don't need that anyway. Y'all can hear me, right? I'd like to start by saying that the presentation that was given at the November library board meeting was anything but fair and balanced. It was absolutely biased, and it was more propaganda than anything else. It did not answer the fundamental question of why we are reading to kids in drag. Now, I'm all about reading to kids. I think it's great. It's fundamental to their development and their ability to succeed in school. I read to my son all through his formative years until eventually he got to the point where, Dad, can we stop with this now? Seriously. Okay, but you would really enjoy this story. However, you convince me why it's imperative that we read to kids in drag, and I'll sign on. But you're going to have to justify that to me, and there's no justification for it. You want to read to kids? Great, but don't do it in a caricature of women, which is insulting to women everywhere. Also, for the record, we collectively do not hate anybody. Our objective here is not founded in hatred, nor is it founded in fear or any other misgivings of that nature. It's founded in a fundamental belief that this is not good for our children. At the very least, it's confusing to them. At the very most, it exposes them to pedophiles. We don't want this for our children in our libraries. I'd also like to address funding. I happen to know that the Friends of Washoe County Library donate a lot of money to this library every year. There's a particular lady that has raised millions of dollars for this library, or for our library system, over the last decade. She resigned her position because she could not, in good conscience, contribute to something that she did not support. And her suspicions were further aggravated by the library director himself at the Friends of Washoe County Library board meeting, where he chastised her and embarrassed her. That cemented in her mind that this is not something that she can support any longer. Folks, you dig in your heels, fine. But there's a cost associated with this. You haven't felt that cost just yet, but you're going to. I don't want to come to that. We love our libraries. We love what we do, what your libraries do. Have a problem with one program. Just one. Thank you.
Thanks, Bruce.
No hands raised yet.
Okay. Miss Carter.
Okay, I sent this
You
email.
might have to use the microphone. Sorry.
I sent this email this morning, so I'm going to read it here. It is my hope that you read and listen and strongly consider the content herein to bring common sense into the mix and truly do the right thing in ending drag queen preschool story hour from our library system and anywhere else involving children. Number one, what is the main objective in having men dressed as women reading stories to preschool children? If the answer is that you'll have more children pay more attention to the story being read, I challenge that response with my next question. 2, what if I wanted to dress up as a firefighter or a goat and come to the library and read stories to preschoolers? Would you allow that? The truth is that preschool children do like to hear stories read to them. They also are enamored with costumes. A costume of a firefighter or a goat will get their attention, probably as much as a man dressed in women's clothing and makeup. The difference is that the firefighter or even the goat costume have no affiliation or reference to sex or gender. So what is the point in presenting something sexual to preschool children, especially when firefighters or goats are more understood than men dressed in women's clothing, makeup, fake breasts, and gaudy wigs? 3, what percentage and/or how many preschool children are confused or dysphoric about their gender? The truth is, it doesn't enter the mind of a preschooler until teachers, librarians, or other adult plant seeds in their minds. And when these seeds are planted, they are indoctrinated and inundated with garbage that God made a mistake in creating them. Like God said, oops, he's supposed to be a she. A drag queen doesn't make a preschooler become a better reader. All it does is confuse a child. And if that is your objective, you win the trophy. Stop this nonsense, let children be children, and let a child develop naturally into how God designed it. I did get a response. Thank you for reaching out. I want to take the opportunity to share our presentation about drag queens story time. The presentation talks about how we provide this program and should answer any questions. I got 2 links, which is just BS. Then it was drag queen story time is beneficial for children and teaches them many early education and literacy lessons that are proven invaluable for their growth and development. I would like to see the studies on that because I don't think there are any. I think this is just an agenda, and thank you, Jeff, for responding to that.
I would just call in person, but I don't think I've seen anyone online.
Stacy, you're up.
Unlike most people in the room here, I'm going to say that I see no sense in attempting to communicate with this board any longer. Communication is a skill such as listening, evaluating, critical thinking, and they're skills that this board does not possess. I hope you appreciate the time and the research your community invested in their attempt to communicate with you, only to be ignored. There are other avenues to explore to rid our community of the horrid use of our libraries and the exposure of our young to the sexual teaching. I wish you all well and pray for our children and our community.
Stacy, Valerie.
I would like to echo what Stacy said, except I'm not going away. I'm going to be here until this ends. I know we've gotten your attention because Jeff felt the need to post on the landing page of Washoe County Library a response to the commission meeting. I hope you also watched the video of the entire commission meeting all the way to the end, because Commissioner Jean Herman asked not once, but 3 times the attorney present, what are their avenues of funding? What is the NRS state? And he 3 times said, Mr. Scott does indeed have the ability to do any programming he chooses. However, the county commission has the final authority on funding, not only whether to fund the library, but whether to have a library at all in the county. And that's not what we want. Obviously, we want libraries. We want them funded as well as we can fund them. We don't want them to go away. But he made it very clear that the county commission can take away part of your funding or all of your funding. He can allow you not to exist. So I'd be wary if I were you. They have a lot of authority. They have a lot of authority to take away your money. And the Friends of the Library have also stated that they are not happy with what Mr. Scott put out there, that they paid for it. Well, they didn't entirely pay for it because it happened in a room like this that we, the citizens, paid for. So you can't quite claim that the community didn't fund it. The county didn't fund it. That was an out and out lie. We do fund it. We pay for the employees, we pay for the building, we pay for the lights. We pay for everything about this. Everything about this. Nothing here is free. We pay for it. We pay for it all. And we only have a problem with one program, one single program. This is the personal agenda. I'm assuming by more than one of you. And it needs to go away. My fear is that when it goes away, it will get more brilliant and out there and sparkly in the community, but that's for a different day. This is on public property. My hope is that you'll heed the warning. It's been loud and clear. And some of you have common sense. I trust that you do.
Michelle?
Michelle. And I.
Oh, yeah, say Michelle.
And I just want to encourage everybody who is a parent that has anxiety about what's going on in the libraries and the school system to contact us through our website. I just want to say that, you know, the woke ideology pertaining to gender curriculum inside the school system and the library system is clearly paying off. We have been attention to the number of laws that have just recently been passed. Pastor is 2 years police who perform in front of children under the age of 13. Arkansas has a law that says that only administrative officers in libraries or schools, which has been set on page 7, 265, which like some of the cool shows in book spaces such as libraries or parks or schools, etc. Kansas just passed their law, Senate Bill 49 to the Senate, Kentucky, Missouri, so we're going to observe the trend across the nation. We should just let that inform us that what is the view of the country. Right? So we could say, oh, well, those are popular states, those are conservative states. Of national map of counties. I'm not talking about blue urban city spaces. I'm talking about counties, most counties are conservative. So I don't believe that drag queen story is a policing issue, and I don't believe indoctrination of gender change plans and the push for transsexualism in the schools is policy. This is an issue for families who are really concerned about their kids. That is why we're seeing a lot of lawsuits, just like the lawsuit happening in Chicago. From them, there's a mom who is suing the superintendent and the entire school board because of this broke revolution wants to be pushed on Americans, and Americans are no longer and they are pushing back. So it'd be wise for you to sell the company on the correct side, right? We're not trying to say that we don't, you know, diversity. We individual what dresses up and the drag queen. I mean, I don't hate them. That is not what I'm for children. Right?
Sandy, take it.
Good afternoon, Sandy for the record. Tennessee, North Dakota, Texas, West Virginia, Nebraska, South Carolina, Arkansas, Arizona, Florida, Oklahoma, Idaho, Kentucky, and I'm sure there's a few I missed. What do they have in common? Michelle just pointed it out. They all have bills and legislatures to ban drag queens mixing with minors. These states recognize the harm to the children these drag queens have in a child's mind. They are awake to the grooming and indoctrination of their children and the attempt to normalize an extreme alternative lifestyle. They recognize this behavior is illegal as a form of child abuse and child endangerment. They also recognize that it is in their best interest and the best interest of their communities to put a stop to it. I am sure the board is aware there's a growing number of tax-paying Washoe County residents that are stepping up to stand against drag queen story hour in our libraries. The people of Washoe County are waking up to the board's woke perverted agenda being pushed onto our kids, and we will not stand for it. We will keep spreading the word with those that are still asleep. We will not stop, we will grow, and we will become this board's worst nightmare. It is in the best interest of this board to stop posting any drag queen story hours at all Washoe County libraries. Gays Against Groomers directly opposes the sexualization and indoctrination of children. This includes drag queen story hour, drag shows involving children, the transitioning and medicalization of minors, and gender theory being taught in the classroom. Children need to be children and their innocence needs to be protected. Did your parents expose you to this type of behavior when you were a child? Do you remember what it was like to be a child with an innocent imagination? Or were you raised by Satan? I am going to leave you with a quote that I unfortunately I am unable to cite because I couldn't find the article again, and I apologize for that. Quote, a person not knowing who he is the definition of a mental disorder. The person who believes he is someone who he is not is living a terrible lie, and this is compounded when it is forced upon the community in its public library. End quote. Thank you.
Renee?
Hi, Renee Santos for the record. I don't know, can you hear me?
Any visa?
Okay,
Sure.
Okay, I don't know if you've heard of Chloe Cole. She transitioned when she was 15 years old. She was very intrigued and listened to influence from doctors. Kaiser Hospital did her operations, she had 2 breasts removed. She was inundated with the injections to do the hormonal changes. She's 18 years old now, and she is suing Kaiser Permanente, accusing them of, because of her confusion at the time of who she was and what she was, they pushed her to make the decision to transition, and she did. And she is very, very sorry that she did that. And I ought to tell you that this drag queen story hour is intriguing. It's very intriguing for children. And so it is something that children will accept, given the influence that they have around them, who is pushing them. If they have a question about themselves, if the right person comes along, they're very easily influenced. Like this young lady was. It's on YouTube. Her story is on there. I recommend that you look for it and watch her and listen to it. It's really sad. And let's see. She's alleging that the doctors and staff convinced her and her parents that she should undergo the treatments by saying that the medical transition was the only way to resolve her gender dysphoria and address her high risk of suicide. So she did it. In 2017, she started the puberty blockers and the testosterone treatment and had a double mastectomy. So this is the outcome. This can be the outcome of the story hour. It's not as innocent as you all pretend that it is. It's not. It's not. It's very harmful. So anyway, thank you.
Janet, what's your?
You don't have to mention it.
is it on? Jen Butcher for the record. After the last commissioners meeting and everybody spoke and it came out that the friends of the library were the ones who funded it and not necessarily the commissioners, I began to do a little bit of research. And I noticed that Jamie Hemingway, who is the interim public information and development officer, said to the RGJ that Chris Daniels is a beloved member of our community who previously ran the Good Luck Macbeth Theater and who has also been background checked to work with children. So I started to do a little bit more looking, and I noticed that Chris Daniels, like I said, was part of the Macbeth Theater. And as I looked at the Macbeth Theater, I found that Jamie Hemingway is on the board of directors. I found that kind of interesting. But as I stated before, I've been here before and I talked about, and I was smirked at when I talked about having a family member who was indeed indoctrinated and sexualized at a young age. There really isn't a place for this here. There are other venues. Take it outside. Keep the safety and the innocence of our children paramount. It's foremost. Another thing I wanted to talk about was TikTok. I think you hopefully are aware that Congress, the White House, U.S. Armed Forces, and more than half of the U.S. states have already banned TikTok. I noticed that it's highly mentioned and promoted within our library. I think we need to take a quick look at that and stop that also. Thank you.
Ms. Foster?
Good afternoon, Bruce Foster, for the record, and Washoe County resident. Can everybody hear me all right with this? Very good. Since we're all avid book readers, I'm going to read an excerpt from The Hiding Place, the story of Corey Ten Boom. Sex, I was pretty sure, meant whether you were a boy or a girl, and sin made Tanta John's very angry. But what the two together meant, I could not imagine. And so, seated next to Father in the train compartment, I suddenly asked, Father, what is sex sin? He turned to me, as he always did when answering a question, but to my surprise, he said nothing. At last he stood up, lifted his traveling case from the rack over our heads, and set it on the floor. Will you carry it up the train, Corey? He said. I stood up and tugged at it. It was crammed with watches and spare parts he had purchased that morning. It's too heavy, I said. Yes, he said. And it would be a pretty poor father who would ask his little girl to carry such a load. In the same way, Corey with knowledge. Some knowledge is too heavy for children. When you are older and stronger, you can bear it. For now, you must trust me to carry it for you. What this story implies is that we are asking our children to carry loads that are way too heavy for them. They should not be forced, as children, to see and feel the world through the lens of adults. Innocence is worth protecting and worth fighting for. We need to do our part as parents, teachers, caregivers, to carry certain things for them until they are old enough to bear the loads. And I want to leave you with this, a scripture verse from Mark 9:42. On the other hand, if you give one, these simple, childlike believers, a hard time bullying or taking advantage of their simple trust, you soon wish you hadn't. You'd be better off dropped in the middle of the lake with a millstone around your neck.
Alan Munson?
Hear me? Without the mic, or do I need the mic?
Use
the mic. Use the mic. Alan Wilson, I'm a resident of Sparks. And I appreciate all of you as board members. And you know, I grew up, libraries were just an awesome place. And I want our library to be an awesome place where you know, it does so many good things. Now you've heard, and I agree with everything that's been said. So I'm going to try not to repeat it, but I want to understand how and why each one of you serves on this board. And you know, I mean, to my way of thinking, you know, drag queens is a deception. It's a funny one, I guess, little kids, which they should not be exposed to stuff like that. But you know, it's a deception, and we don't want to expose our kids to that. And so, you know, I just appeal to each one of you, and to you too, Jeff.
Yes, Jeff. Jeff.
You know, Jeff, you must have chosen to do this work for
So
some.
your board comment, your comments need to be the entire board, not just one individual.
Oh, okay, all right. What's your name?
Amy.
Amy? Well, anyways, you know, so just something else. I have spoken to a lot of my neighbors who cannot be here because they work, but they love our library, and they asked me to convey the message that
they don't want this particular program. 99% of what you do in the library is really good. You know, this is 1% of deceiving the perceptive of deceiving little kids. You know, I don't care if it's, straight sex, homosexual, whatever. Little kids should not be exposed to it, and if you're going to allow this program, I understand that you don't allow a Bible program. Cameron, I think, he does a Bible study hour for kids, and I've heard is not allowed. Why not allow something like that for kids too? I mean, if you're going to have one, why not the other? And the feeling that drag queens are a persecuted group. There's a lot of persecuted groups out there and nobody hates them. Nobody hates them. If you choose that type of lifestyle, that's fine privately. Sex is private anyways, but just keep it private. So I appreciate what you're doing. Thank you for letting me speak. And I hope you hear what we're saying.
Roger Edwards.
Nice.
We'll do it. If they want to do it, we'll do a call when we're done with the first.
Roger Jones for the record. They're in for equal downtown. Things I couldn't understand.
Did not sign up for public comment. Sure, you're up. If you could come up and please state your name for the record. Thank you.
So, I did 30 years of law enforcement, and 27 of it was in prison. In California prison, high desert state prison, maximum security. I was in the visiting once, supervising visiting, and there was a guy, a prisoner, at a table with his wife and 2 daughters, and he was telling his daughters to act sexual. He was saying, "Come on, act sexual, be sexual." And I said, "That's it. Your visitation is over. in the living room. And it was completely appropriate. Not in a public place, you know, it's not fully public, it's a visitor prison room as big as this. And get out of there. You know, said why I did it, boom, done like that. I can't understand this. This has got to be criminal activity that you all are participating in. And it probably was criminal activity just, 5 years ago. But you think because Biden's president, you can get away with this stuff. But I'm telling you, Tennessee just passed a law against it. It's a 10-year sentence. Just like child molesting, child pornography, any kind of child sexualization, it's a 10-year penalty. All of you will be doing 10 years. I told you that last time I was here. You're going to be doing 10 years. Because you're seeing it. And you think, well, we're not going to get the legislature back in Nevada. Get so much back that we're going to be like chaff in the room. It's blown away, gone out of society. And I can't wait to see it happen. I'm retired law enforcement now. There's so much law enforcement that needs to be done in the state. I'm so excited. We're going to see justice in Nevada, and it's coming soon. So wake up, people.
So my name's Mon Bertolucci, first name M-O-N. Okay. I'm gonna not be too dramatic. My message is I don't want 1 penny of my taxpayer dollars that supports this to go to this crap. Okay. That's it.
Anyone else?
One more.
Yep.
Mary Jones, and I just want to say you do not have to be a taxpayer to donate to the library programming pool. You don't have to be a taxpayer to donate to the Friends of Washoe County Library.
Anybody online?
There's one person with a hand raised, Sarah DePauli. Let me allow her to talk.
Sarah, you're up.
Okay, Sarah, can you hear us?
I can. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, you can go ahead.
Okay, lovely. Thank you. So my name is Sarah DePauli. I'm a Washoe County resident. I'm a full-time clinical trial research manager. So there are thousands and thousands of us Northern Nevadans, including me, that love Drag Time Story Hour. Me loving Drag Time Story Hour is, that's a personal opinion. You can call that a preference. And currently to date, there are no peer-reviewed, evidence-based trials that tell us that Drag Queen Story Hour poses a risk to children. So we all have our personal opinion about this particular topic, which seems to be the only thing we're really talking about today. And the beautiful part about having opinions and choices and freedom is that you get to choose what you do. And so if there are parents and community members that don't want their kids to read books with someone dressed a certain way, then they don't have to go. It's a very simple solution. And so to the board, for those of us who love this event, we are so grateful that you continue to offer this service for the library, and thank you for keeping it in our community. And for those who are opposed, I look forward to you exercising your choice to not attend library events in the future. Thank you.
All right. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
I am with Washoe County, and I believe Drag Queen Story Hour is child abuse. Including maintenance and considering the grass and possibly everything else.
We are on to the minutes. Was everyone able to look over the minutes? Yeah,
On page 2. There's just a typo. It says opposed with an A in Bruce Parks 3. It should be O.
Nice snack. Anyone else? Frank, do you have any questions?
Frank, do you hear us? Anything with the minutes? Excellent.
If there are not comments, I would entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, this is an action item, is that correct?
Oh, this is an action item. Did we do public comments before the action item or after the action item?
Here from the beginning.
Yeah. All right, Bruce.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would recommend that you make some changes to these minutes before you adopt them. The spelling mistakes and everything else notwithstanding. I read with particular concern that my comments were not accurately recorded in these minutes. There's nothing in here about my addressing the American Pediatric Society, the comments that I made that showed that they were against the Drag Queen Story Hour program. Also, there's no reference in here at all about the comments I made reference the Gays Against Groomers website and some of the information that I put out at that meeting, things that they are opposed to, one of them being Drag Queen Story Hour. I'm also deeply offended, if I may, that in the comment section here, there's a lot of reference to the fact that feels like it should be, feels like the body. Look, facts don't care about feelings. I would prefer that you put commented that, thinks that. You can't infer what I'm feeling, but you can make certain inferences about what I think. That's totally acceptable for the future. Thank you.
Any other comments on the agenda? Nope. Okay. I would entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve.
Okay. 1 second.
Well, I mean, I think that's fine to make those changes. Can we approve
We
it?
have to have a second before we do this section.
Oh, okay. Second.
Okay, comments, questions?
I think we should adopt the changes that Bruce suggested, and I do think that it is important to the comment about feeling or stated, so and so stated.
We review with the clerk's office, so we can review that with the clerk's office and how they put that.
Let's do that. I think that would clear up confusion about those things.
Okay, how would you like to amend the motion?
Well, we can accept it pending those changes that Bruce suggested.
Okay,
We can review that with the clerk's office and then provide feedback on style, because we do work with the clerk's office on that, so.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Is the clerk's office the one that does the county commissioners?
Yes, that's right.
So I'm just wondering, because there's already precedence of like this type of language being used then?
Yeah, I mean, our administrative secretary came over in the clerk's office, so most of the stuff she's using is from the clerk's office. We can always review that again to make sure we're doing everything correctly on that and how it's conveyed, but so.
Thank you.
we're comfortable approving and discussing with.
Yeah, we just approve it pending on discussion with the clerk's office.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Great. Everybody in favor?
I,
Frank?
Aye. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're right.
Aye.
Okay, unanimous approval. No old business, new business, strategic planning.
All right. A quicker update this month because it's a shorter month and we're spent most of it February. So, okay, so Nevada Reading Week was the first week, end of February, beginning of March. So we had lots of programs going out to the schools doing programs. Some of the schools were closed because of the inclement weather. So probably near the end of the week, we got most of those story times and programs in with the schools. It's something we do annually, statewide effort. We also have County Manager Brown come and do a story time for Reading Week. So fun time for read, getting kids read. And that's a national program that we participated. So big question is always, when is CRV going to reopen? And I have the same question. So I'm going to be meeting with Shaw Construction very soon to get a more detailed update. We did work with RBI with furniture, so we'll get a better timeline of when that's coming. As you can see, we're making progress. Sarah Jack, the branch manager, gave us some more updates from this. So we mentioned before the rear entrance to the Sierra Mall. So you can see that in this picture here. You'll have coming in this way, going down the stairs. There will also be a ramp and a chair lift to make it ADA accessible. I have to say, when we looked at that back area before, I didn't envision we'd be able to pull that off. So I'm really happy that Sierra actually has some natural light coming into the library. So that looks really nice for our patrons and for our staff. Some of the projects we have going on for our Welcoming Spaces initiative is the ADA restroom downtown Reno on the main floor to make sure that's accessible and also provides a nice convenient restroom for parents. We have the elevator repair that's going to come right after that. We are now anticipating the Cold Springs and Sun Valley's book machines coming in by the end of the month. So we're waiting on a timeline for that. And then we're also looking at adding the Incline Village hours on Saturday. So we are able to get the additional Library System 2 on there and add Saturday hours per the original strategic plan asked during the forums was Incline Village residents wanted to see Saturday hours. So we're happy to be able to pull it off. We're also doing a review of the smart shoots. So if you're familiar with our automated material handlers, we have it all of our libraries. We wanted to give that a couple of years to review that, to see how it's going, to see if we want to add additional locations. Most of the locations are when you're walking into the library, you can put it in the book drop. Some of them are different locations. So we're going to find if we need to put more of those in our libraries. And we have a quote for that. I need to work with our leadership team to see if there's desire to have additional locations. So our Welcoming Faces. So you mentioned the challenge program last month. So I wanted to kind of follow up on that. This is a picture of John Crockett and Sarah Jack kicking off the challenge program at our staff day back in December. So this is something that's helped the staff get more engaged in what's going on in the library. So we have a lot of service teams that come in and present to the board. And lots of people can be involved with those service teams, but not everyone is on a service team. If they're in LA2 and they're new, they may not be involved. They want to get more involved in the library to just be knowledgeable for our public, but also that if they want to get promotions or other opportunities, they're very versed on what the library does. So they're meeting with people they wouldn't normally meet. They're going on routes with the couriers, driving around Washoe County, delivering books. They're meeting with our YSLE team leads, other team leads, watching videos and getting engaged in what we're doing, checking out the book vending machine and things like that. So there's a variety of things that they can get involved with right now to do that. So the question was asked at the last meeting, how many staff do we have participating? We have over 60 at this time. I sent out a link a few weeks ago, reminder about the program. So we did get a big increase in signups. That was John Andrews, our internet librarian who managed our Beanstack account, asked what happened because we got a bunch of signups. And I said, it's because we sent out the email. So we're getting really good response from staff and participating in this program.
Excuse me. The meeting is still happening. If we could please keep our voices down, I'd really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yep. So we're seeing an increase in the challenge program usage and staff are getting more engaged. So we'll get more information as we go forward on that. with the challenge program and the training. So this gives you kind of the topics that people can choose to mark it off a list so they can be part of that program. After getting so many things checked off, they'll get a badge. I think Emily Coe is one of our couriers, is the first one to get the badge. We're working on a program right now to do an award ceremony for her and other of our staff who are getting all the way through the program. So they can attend a board meeting like this. They can attend a service team meeting. We have the get to know the branches videos. We have the general organizational videos, right on with courier I mentioned. They could do a library tour, doing class visits with the schools. So lots of ways that they can get involved, even if they're not on a service team, to do on the higher level stuff that the library does. And that gets a lot of our newer staff more engaged about, here's all the cool stuff that we're doing. And next time there's an opportunity on a service team, maybe they'll volunteer, or if there's a library that they really like and there's an opportunity to promote, they might promote to go into that library. So it keeps our staff really engaged about opportunities in the library, and it just highlights all the really cool stuff that we do internally. I think one of the things you have is a big system like this is some people may not know all the details of the things that we do, and then a patient may ask them a question and they may not be as familiar with it. This addresses those issues as well. So a lot of the staff are really versed with all our programs and our services. Anything from ebooks to book vending machines is available for them to get involved with and get more information about. So, so our probably managers probably know which one's the most popular. I think Corinne, I don't know if she's here today, but Julie, would you know off the top of your head the most popular one?
Kristen.
Yeah, so you already passed it.
One of the popular ones, the organizational video ones. We just actually right before the board meeting finished meeting with the YSLE coordinator, and we had 11 people attend that one.
Thank you. So always good to have knowledgeable staff in there. So yeah, so we're really getting good participation. A lot of people are involved with that. And I mean, if you haven't seen the Get to Know Your Branches videos, they're really great because they have Chris is our drone operator right here. Chris, raise your hand. Picking on you out of random now. He does all of the videos with the drones, and so he's done drone shots inside the libraries and really creative photography there with some of the shots. So fun stuff that everyone get involved with, and it helps also the public with those videos about all the things that the libraries do and all the cool spaces that we have. So questions on that? All right. The Celebrate Diverse Community. So we have the Black History Month events, book lists and more. We had the 81st anniversary of Japanese internment camps awareness program. We had Understanding Systemic Racism and White Supremacy in the United States at Northwest Reno, and that's a program that's going to go on throughout all the branches all throughout the year. And then if you see, we have Frederick Douglass and Harry Tubman visiting our Northwest Reno Library. Northwest Reno, on top of having great exhibitions, they also have a collection of public cutouts. So they have significant people in Black history. They have significant people in women's history. They have President's Day. They have the presidents up there. One time, one of them fell in the middle of the night and set off the motion sensor. So our branch manager had to go and check it out to make sure no one was breaking in. It was just the president taking a nap. So they have fun programs like that all throughout the system, and informational programs that we have as well. So that's it. So short month, and we spent most of it under snow. So
Yeah, I was gonna say,
John Crockett's very dedicated. John Crockett, he's very dedicated to keeping the branch open. So there's been times where we had to send the branch staff down to the other branches because we couldn't get up there and things like that. And there's a couple of times we had to close early due to inclement weather, just because the snow was just really heavy. So I'm happy to have sunshine today. A lot of times when we have the March meeting in Spanish Springs, it's hit or miss. So I'm glad we're having a good day to come out here. Let's see. Yeah.
Okay. Any comments on hours of operation change for the downtown Reno Library and Incline Village Library?
What was the reasoning behind closing it on Saturday for the downtown library?
So for downtown, we opened at 7. So before post-recession, the downtown Reno Library was open Sunday through Thursday. And so we had very limited hours. What I wanted to do, we were adjusting some of the hours a number of years ago, was to have downtown Reno open on Saturdays. And the thinking behind that was there's lots of programs and events that happen on Saturdays, and then we bring in some of that traffic coming in. And I think with, and that all kind of went into effect right before COVID. After COVID, we're not seeing those numbers. It could be just COVID related programming and events haven't come back yet, but we're not seeing that. And the thing we're noticing is that there's a lot of opportunities that we can take place in the library on Saturdays when we're not open. So for instance, in the past, we posted the Nevada Humanities Lit Crawl in the downtown Reno space on a Saturday when we're closed, or we posted other programs on Saturdays when we're closed. So that's an available venue for people to use even if we're not open. But if we're open to the public for only 4 hours, then it limits actually us hosting those programs just because of the staffing level that's there. So in doing this change, we're expanding the hours on Sunday, which is a busier day for us downtown because parking is free. Sunday is often referred to downtown Reno Library as the family day because the parking is free, you can get down. The total demographic change on a Sunday versus a weekday downtown is completely different. You have more families coming in, more people coming in. And so we want to take more advantage of that by expanding the hours on Sunday instead of having the hours on Saturday. So most of it's just an hour's adjustment through the week. The traffic drops off significantly after 5 o'clock downtown. And so that's kind of why we're making that adjustment for downtown. And then we mentioned Incline previously about the adding the Saturday hours. They have LA2, and that was a strategic planning ask from our forums.
Any public comment on hours? Entertain a motion. Second? Any discussion? Frank, do you have any questions?
Nope, looks good.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, yeah, that's approved. Meeting room policy.
So for the most part, there isn't any change. There's only one line change in the meeting room policy. That's confirmation of legal age required to book a room. So we have to be over 18 to book the room after hours. And that's just for legal coverage and security and consistent with our policies and procedures as well. So it's all highlighted there for you. So that's basically the only change. We had a lot of discussion at leadership about room reservations and then being 18 and over to reserve a room. You can only imagine, you know, underage children in here reserving the room. So we want to avoid that kind of possibility. So it hasn't happened as far as we know, but we want to kind of make sure we're covered in that. So that's just one line change in that.
Any public comment regarding this policy? Bruce?
Bruce Park, for the record, I omitted that the first couple times. I would just like for all of you to know, these meeting rooms are absolutely essential for continuing what we view as an extremely valuable asset to our community, to our libraries. Without access to these meeting rooms, there are organizations and groups that just frankly would not be able to afford having their functions and making them available to the community. You can look at just the people that reserve this meeting room and what they do in the community. If you have any questions about the benefits of these meeting rooms, I applaud the efforts of the board to make sure that you don't incur a liability that's going to cause a huge increase in your insurance premiums. Outstanding. And folks, please make sure that these meeting rooms are available to the public as much as possible. They're an integral part of what this community does. Thank you.
Okay. I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve.
Second?
Second.
All right, any discussion? Question, Frank?
How did this question come up early? How did it come up?
Yeah, you noticed the loophole here.
Yeah.
We're librarians, so always looking for things.
Amy, no, I'm all good.
But it's not a policy. I mean, the team lead, and so she has a really good attention to detail, and so she'll catch things like that. And it's one of the things that you always whataboutism with reserving the room, making sure it's clearly spelled out. Because I think that with our policy and the library usage, it's clearly spelled out that you have to be over 18 to be here. If you're a child, you can be here. If you have supervision, but sometimes there's some gray areas. So we just want to make sure we're not having, I don't know, 16-year-olds throwing a party in here. Not that that's happened, but it's, you know, thinking of those things. I think it's probably, I mean, it could be the increase of teen shenanigans at the library could have encouraged that too. So.
Okay, any discussion? Frankie, do you have questions?
Hi, Amy. No, I'm all good.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Unanimous approval.
All right.
Oh, you're flipping.
All right. So go through those kind of quickly. So we had the Corn Ferry update. That's one of the countywide assessment on salary and adjustments. So this is mostly for the staff that was sent out, but most of the staff, you'll see adjustments for their salaries to match so that we don't lose them to competing counties or competing businesses. Most of the staff, I think, are happy about those adjustments for the most part, but that's basically the Corn Ferry study. So it's been a while since we've done a comprehensive study like that, and a lot of the staff are pretty happy with the results from what I can tell. So we have recently hired LE2s. We have one LE2 vacancy at South Valleys, and we have a number of part-time LE2 vacancies right now that we're trying to resolve to get them interviews for that. One of the things we found during this last recruitment was this LE2 recruitment is from July 2022. So the list is getting a little stale. We're also learning that we have to be a little more competitive when we're doing our hiring and move more quickly, because a lot of the good candidates, external candidates that are on there are probably leaving for other jobs. Until Washoe County, we have a 3% unemployment rate, which is good. That means we're really competing with a lot of people. Speaking with Ann Silver, the CEO for the Reno Sparks Chamber of Commerce, she said that a lot of people won't even apply for the job. They didn't get the job, and then never show up for work. So we're getting into the weeds of getting really difficult to get good candidates to apply for the jobs and come into the library right now. So we're working with HR right now to do a new recruitment for LA2s and then library aides as well. So hoping to get a new pool, but we're really happy with the candidates that we've had. Most of the ones we hired were internal, except for 2 of them.
So is there any external hiring?
Yeah, it's all external for LA2s. Yeah, so we're going to post a new recruitment process shortly. So we're working with HR right now. We have to make sure that the list is exhausted before we do a new recruitment. And so we're working with them now, basically that we believe that it's exhausted. So we'll do a new recruitment and try to turn around quickly for the next one. So that's the part-time is South Valleys is one, and the full-time is South Valleys is one. And then we have about 5 branches have part-time staff, part-time LA2s available. And then we'll also have the library aides as well. So, and those always post external recruitments. And then we'll have assistant library director interviews end of March, beginning of April. Thank goodness for that.
How many applicants do you have?
We have 9 qualified applicants. We'll be interviewing all of them. So we'll have that. So hopefully we'll have new help soon, because yeah, it's like driving one of those J-ers from the Pacific Rim. Can't have one person doing it. So it'll be me, and then we'll have Dave Solero, who's assistant county manager, since it's the library liaison, and then we'll have 2 external library directors in the region. So I think Joy Holt from Carson City, and then Tara Bednecki from UNR will be sitting on that, because they're both department heads. So the equivalent of doing those interviews. So we'll have that soon. So we will have, I mean, could be by the next board meeting, we'll have an announcement of a new assistant library director. So we'll see. And then directly side of the news. So we saw that public comment. BCC, we had all people coming to the BCC on February 28th. So I wanted to make sure that you all were aware of that. And we shared the articles that were written that's in the packet here. I will go over them. If you have questions about them, happy to answer them. That's more in transparency. So RGJ did a story. This is Reno did a story. I issued a director statement just because I wanted a clarification that we did talk to this group. We did provide a presentation. We did talk about the reasoning why we're doing the program, how it came about, and what we believe is beneficial for children. So that's on the library website right now, just to limit any kind of confusion. And there was an op-ed by someone at the Nevada Independent that posted on that Sunday afterward. So if you read those, with questions, please ask me. And Library Legislative Day, so we had lots of staff going to library legislative on March 9th. So we sat with legislators, we sat in the galleys and met with legislators about library. We also talked about the benefits of state library funding. And John Andrews and Jamie Hemingway created a nice one sheet for that to share. So talking about our book vending machines, talking about our Zoom rooms, all the things the state library provides. Mark Robeson did a nice article way back in the summer about the ebook collection, because we saw an increase in holds being satisfied, and he was very happy about that. So that's from state library funding. So just highlighting everything the library does. There's nothing really, I'm kind of a person where I like to send people, even if it's not an emergency, so you can build that rapport. We have a lot of new faces in the legislators in the Northern Nevada area. And so it's nice to kind of introduce them to our libraries and say hi, and then not just show up when there's an emergency or budget cuts. And then John Crockett was helpful for coordinating our effort down, sending our staff down to Carson City. We're in a really unique position in Washoe County to assist when we're having library legislative day events or going to hearings or budget, that kind of thing, because we have so many staff that can just 45 minutes away drive down. And we're starting to get into a time period with legislative sessions where this bill is going to go in a hearing in an hour. Can you send people down? You know, that's kind of where we are with that. Luckily, we're not having that kind of high drama, but in the past, we've had that with school library legislation, budget legislation, things like that, where we can send a lot of staff in a short period of time. And the rest of the state's appreciative of those efforts. So we talk about the challenge program and the strategic plan update. And then this just has the Corn Ferry background that we included in there. And that's just was sent to the staff. So if you have any questions on that. So this is the articles. We can get through the paywall for some of them. We broke through the paywall on that. Let's see here. I think that's it. Yeah. That's the updates, and there's my update. And this is the one sheet for the state legislature, so they can know all the things the state library does. So the new materials for ebooks, lending kiosks, Zoom rooms, expanded jail services, expanded library services for the jail. So that's it. Any questions on that? I'll pop up Jana's presentation.
All right, well,
Microphone 101, turn it on. I can't believe it's been 6 months since you guys were here. It feels like you were just here. So that's when I said the word was coming, I'm like, wow, but we're just here. So 6 months, trying to get a picture from 6 months ago, which would be so in the background, because that's been our ongoing troubles here. Next slide, please. So since we saw you guys last time, we hosted early voting here. We also, for the first time, hosted general election meeting, which was really exciting for us. It's fast to this facility. This was the top voting site in Washington. Here's what we're to see. And what you see in the picture on the right is a bunch of people lined up inside because it was so bad. For voting day, so we could direct people to at the end of the lines. Next slide, please. So over the past few months, we posted a number of programs. Some of them are collaborative events. Those first two pictures on the left there, the top one, we did some native plant walks in conjunction with the Washoe County Parks Department. And we also, the bottom picture is from the Children's Cabinet event. They did a family engagement program here a couple of different times. So that's just a picture from that. And then the picture on the right is just a really cute picture from one of our Thursday craft studios. Next slide, please.
Yeah, will you move the mic slightly away from your mouth?
Am I too loud?
No, it's more. For some reason, the mic is too close.
Okay.
They can't hear it as well online.
Is this okay?
We'll just keep going.
As far as we know.
Andrews will tell me.
Slide, please. All right.
So in November, we got our Zoom room. A lot of libraries have Zoom rooms now. And so this is like a one-on-one kind of meeting room thing. If you need to do an interview with somebody on a computer, this is a way to do it. If you just need to take a phone call in the library, this is a way to do it. We do book those online like meeting rooms. So this is just pictures of them putting it together, and one of our staff members, Chris Thomas, sitting up there modeling what it looks like after it's done. It started off as kind of a slow build for us. A lot of people didn't know what it was at first, but now it gets used regularly. So that's super exciting for us. Next slide, please. Our staff also helped out at a number of parades, outreaches, and community events. Since the last time we saw you, on the left, we've got the Nevada Day Parade. Sasha's in that picture. Sasha also helped out with the Santa Fly-In, which was a system-wide event that happened in at the Stead Airport. Next slide, please. And of course, we had the Sparks Hometown Christmas Parade. And so you might notice that Sasha is our outgoing member of staff, so she goes to a lot of these events. Next slide, please. And we started a couple of new programs in 2022, so we've now passed that 1-year mark. One of those programs is Dungeons and Dragons. You can see our staff member, Aaron Fraker, who's our dungeon master in the upper left slide there. These pictures were from October and November. The kids dress up regardless of whether it's Halloween month or not. So just wanted to share that with you. Next slide, please. And a lot of our programs here build into one another. So we have a program here called Code It, Build It, which also hosts 3D printing workshops. That's a new feature of it. Chris Thomas sitting in the front row. Say hi, Chris. That's Chris. He leads our Code It, Build It program. And then some of these kids attend multiple programs that we do. One of the kids who attended the Code It, Build It did a 3D printing workshop and created a birthday 3D printed card for his older brother who attends our Dungeons and Dragons program. So I just kind of wanted to show you, one of those things. It's kind of cool how, they're able to support one another. Next slide, please. And we do a lot of programs here. We've incorporated a Thursday craft studio. That's every Thursday. It's all ages. That picture on the far right is from the Thursday craft studio. We also have STEAM events here. STEAM is the science, technology, engineering, art, and math programs. That top center picture there is from our drawing robots program. So our Lego robotics host, Ben Newman, who is also here. Say hi, Ben. Okay. He did a STEAM event that tied into one of the things that he does well, which is, sounds like this died. It died. One of the things that he does well is obviously robots. So he did a STEAM event for the little guys who can't, they're too young to attend the Lego robotics program. So they got to learn how to program a robot to draw, which was kind of a fun STEAM event for them. And then the other two pictures are from our annual Gingerbread Houses workshop. Next slide, please. We also do Stay and Play. That is a program that is for kids and adults to get to visit with one another and also use our STEAM related toys after story times. We have story times on Mondays, and we have 2 toddler times Thursdays and Fridays. So the kids and the families get to visit afterwards and play together. And then the right-hand picture is one of the pictures from our Lego robotics group. And I think on that particular day, we had voting in the library, so they were actually at different tables. But just to kind of show you, it's kind of an all ages thing. The kids sometimes incorporate their parents into the program as well. Next slide, please. You'll hear more about the Lego robotics program coming up in our Maker Services report with you shortly. And then I did show you when you were here last that we did get our new sensory sound garden installed. And I just wanted to show you it's continuing to be popular regardless of the weather. We've had people out there in the snow, the mud, the rain, as well as the sun. And it's all ages. So you can see from that picture, we've got grandmas and grandpas, we've got adults, we've got teens. The one thing that we did also incorporate was some song sheets, and the song sheets are color coded. So the song sheets go with the xylophone, which is also color coded. So I have a staff member, Bill Kirsten, who is a musician, and he was able to take some general nursery type songs like Old MacDonald, Three Blind Mice, that sort of thing. And he color coded them so that people can come ask for the song sheets. We hand them that with a music stand, and they can go out, and whether or not they can read music, they have that experience of getting to play something by going orange, orange, red, red, blue, blue, yellow, and hey, it's, it's a song, and they have that success. Next slide, please. And then we also had a wishing well, and our wishing well has been popular for years. It's also was very old and very dated. So we had a contest with the staff to revamp the wishing well, and Ben Newman won that contest. Raise your hand again, Ben. Ben is kind of our little creative genius here. And so he was able to scavenge a lot of parts that were from construction sites that were being thrown away, things that were being thrown away. I also threw about $85 towards it. To do this incredible thing that he did. He 3D printed some coin slides, and he also used his woodworking skills on another slide that goes on the other side. It's also a coin slide. So if you'll switch to the next slide for me, Jeff. He created for us a rocket. So we have a rocket wishing well now. It has those coin slides on either side. The kids can put the coins in and they have that experience of them flipping, sliding, doing whatever to get down, and we get the money, which is great because we throw that right back into the programs that we do here, like Dungeons and Dragons and Lego robotics, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a little dome on top. We put little miniature figurines in there. That's what you see in that lower left-hand corner. We've got some astronauts to put into the dome. And the kids regularly rob their caregivers when they come here for story times to get those coins to put in the wishing well. So within 3 weeks, we had made enough back on just the donations from the pennies, dimes, nickels, quarters, and a couple dollar bills that the kids had put in to pay for the parts that we needed additionally to build that. So that was exciting for us. It's just a fun thing. Next slide, please. And if you are a fan of KUNR, you may hear some of our staff on the shelf program on KUNR. Jeff does a regular one, so does Sasha. Sasha, raise your hand, please, right in front. And then we also, of course, continue to offer homeschool, public school, and parent university tours, and all of our staff get involved in that. We get thank you letters, which is what that upper left-hand corner picture is, from the public after they come. Next slide, please. And here's just one of our early literacy events. This was a Monday story time, kind of a small group that day, but wow, we've got a really cute costume. So I had to share that for you. Again, that's Sasha doing the story. And next slide, please. And then all of our staff pretty much gets involved in story time. Not so much the supervisors, but the rest of the frontline staff do. We have one of our aides, Andrew, on the upper right, who's doing story times now. On the upper left, we have Ben and Aaron, who tag team to do toddler time. On the lower left, Ben and Helen. Helen was learning how to do, I think that was a tour picture possibly that day, I'm not sure. And then in the middle, we've got Ann, who's doing a pajama time, which is a new feature we do once a month. And on the lower right, Ann and Chris, who tag team to do a toddler time on Fridays. Then we also have Stephanie, Joy, I think Helen is pictured in there. So we have other staff who get involved in it as well. I tried to incorporate as many people as I could. And if you'll go to my last slide, Jeff, you will see all the bright and shining faces of all the staff that work here at the Spanish French Library. And that is all I have for you. If you have any questions for me, I'm happy to entertain them. 11,501, please. Don't you cheat it.
Which group did you say you were collaborating with on the native plant walks?
The native plant walk was the Washoe County Parks Department right next door. And so it was our former park ranger from over there. She now actually is the park ranger for Branches San Rafael. But we do programs in conjunction with them in a while too.
Oh, okay. And do you go around here?
It was just a picture from outside around the library. So everybody met here, then went outside and followed her, and she showed them what was growing. Told them what it was.
Marvelous. Love the wishing well. I bet the parents are happy to like, oh, finally I can get rid of my spare change. It's just some of them are
coming, oh, I have to bring you over. You do. That's what we want. Thank you.
We have a whole bunch of them.
Good to see everybody. I'm Julie Ullman, branch manager at South Valley Library, as well as the Maker Services chair. And with me are two members who have been helping for quite a while. So I have Ben Newman and Chris Thomas, who will be presenting part of this report. I hope you've had a chance to look it over. There's quite a few quotes about some of the programs that are going on with the Maker Services. Just to get things started, I'm going to just kind of hit a few things at the beginning. I'll wrap it up again, and in between, you'll get from these tents over here. The first few slides are highlighting the quad, which is at the downtown Reno Library. That's a makerspace that all of the branches send staff on their day of the month to go down there and support that. The sublimation printing and vinyl is what we're concentrating on. So you're seeing bags and t-shirts with vinyl that is heat pressed onto those items. In the bottom right is vinyl sign. And so we do have weekly events at there at this time. And then in addition to that, there are special events that in the past, we've had a journal, a New Year's journal that, so it's limited to a few people who, 6 or 8 people who come and do that. This summer, we have a special event with a water bottle where you can design your own water bottle. So there are some different things going on in the quad. The quad has certainly changed over the years, and what it concentrates on now are the most popular and interesting things. And we wanted to bring those out to the branches a little bit more. And so you'll hear from Chris about some of the crickets that have arrived at the branches and how the branches are using those. In addition to the quad, the maker events at the branches, there's just a few highlights here that all of the team members from their branches sent some photos in so that we can include those into the report. Make sure that you have a nice idea of what's happening from everywhere from Bird Eye to Northwest to downtown to Sparks. Everybody's got a little something going on. Maker also does support STEAM. It's not necessarily the same persons who are doing everything. It's widespread between all the branches. They have different staff who have lots of skills. And Maker has been able to use some of their friends' money to support STEAM at the branch level so that each branch is able to purchase some of the supplies that they need to do special programs for STEAM. The next slide includes just a couple more of those branches here, branch programs. And so from here, I'm going to turn it over to Damien, who's going to talk about the robotics and how that's expanded, particularly here at Spanish Springs, but it's also in effect at Incline Village. And Sparks is dipping their toes into it with a little bit different robotics program as well. So take it away, Ben.
Thank you. So I think I've been careful this. Before I started working for I was actually a robotics coach. And so I got to see teams having tons of fun. And I wanted to be able to offer them some opportunity in general, and an opportunity as well to participate. So it's kind of what we're doing as part of the program. We're trying to find a way to encourage the kids in our community that want to learn how to play, do robotics, and maybe be involved in the team. How do they go through those steps? We also provide resources for teams that are currently in the community to help them with their competitions. They need to visit libraries, they need to do research, they need to be able to identify resources to be able to do their presentations. So I usually what we're doing is we're just setting up a 2-day from 4 to 6 meeting time where anyone from age 5 up to middle school age can come in and they can participate. They can learn how to build a robot for the first time. They may have some Lego experience, but regardless of whatever experience they have, we show them all the basics that they need to have in order to be able to be successful. And then we walk them through all those processes. And then, so what else do you need? And we found out that there were 9 teams in the Spanish Springs area. So it ended up being, for the next slide, that we got in contact with a team that wanted to start at this particular location. We said, we'll run weekly programming, we'll do some camps to get them kind of prepared, and then you can go ahead and register and use a meeting space and start your team up, and then you can recruit from the kids that participate in our programming. So you'll see some pictures up here of us doing some drawing and sketching for robots by setting kind of some practice tables up that we received from previous teams that were stepping down because the kids had moved on to older programming, and we could start offering them some of those experiences. And then those teams, if you look at that very next slide, we get to go watch those teams of kids that we work with go to competition across the state and participate. And then they get to come back and share with our kids what they've done, what they've learned. And it's just a really great opportunity for us to be able to reach out to the community, show our kids what are the possibilities out there, and then let them come back and benefit from the resources that we have in the library. And even something just as simple as kids that participate with us and those teams, they have to be able to pick up a library resource and say, what is the purpose of this source? We give them a quick little bookmark they can use to figure out, for example, what is the author's purpose by the item that I found? Is there any bias or slant included in that item?
Is it topical and timely? Is it an old resource or a new resource? So they can figure out, what do I do with this information once I found it? How do I present that information to someone else? So we want all of our patrons coming in to be able to identify where those resources are, how to use them, and then how to be able to share that information with those in the public. So we want our kids to be able to come in and learn how to build, have some fun, build some friendships, and then be able to go out in the community and participate as well. Any questions though?
Yeah, this is so cool. What happens when they get older?
It's really awesome. It's when they get older, they have a separate robotics program that's run through this nonprofit organization, First Lego League, and they can start doing actual robotics design. And then all of the like electronics firms and robotics firms, Microsoft, Google, they're coming out and actually judging and helping run those sessions. And then they're pulling kids from these competitions and saying, "You want an internship? You want a job?" And they start hiring from that pool. So we're trying to get those really young ones that are interested engaged so that they see that pathway once they're in school and just outside the community. And hopefully down the road, they'll be able to find a career that's something that they really enjoy.
It looks like up next, Chris Thomas, work here at the Spanish Springs Library. So the crickets, as Julie mentioned, we had the quad at the downtown arena. We still have the quad. It's on Wednesdays. Can accept a limited amount of people. So we wanted to bring that out to all the branches and have everyone have some sort of access to what they would have at the quad, albeit a little bit smaller. So like the cricket is I don't know if any of you have one. It can cut out from vinyl, it can cut out from paper. It's a lot easier to cut out design than rather doing it by hand with scissors, especially if it's like a repetitive pattern or something of that nature. The way we've used the crickets here at Spanish Springs, we've done mug presses. So at Christmas, we had a maker Christmas, and they could come in, make a custom mug that they wanted to give to a family member. Before school started, we had a maker school, get back to school. They could come in, make pencil pouches, they could make stickers for their water bottles. And this is all done on the cricket, cut out, and then they can apply it, custom stickers and everything. I know at South Valley, they do a program almost every weekend or close to once a month too as well, with the crickets where they can come in and use the cricket. And we had one coming up at Spanish Springs for spring break where they can come bring in their own t-shirt. We'll let them use some of the vinyl, the heat press, and make their own custom t-shirts, as well as mugs again and whatever else, stickers, because it's all done on the same machine, so it'll be out there. And I had a dad who wants to make a sticker for his kid's snowboard. And so I told him about the event. So it's a drop-in event, and they can come in and use the equipment while it's out with a staff member there to help them as well.
I've been mispronouncing that forever, so thank you.
I don't know if I say it right. I've heard it all different ways. The cricket, the cry cut, it's all over the place. So I think it's just phonetically however you want to say it.
Okay.
So just some additional programs that the cricket is doing that we've been able to do it. Incline, North Valleys, Northwest, South Valleys, Sparks. Every branch has really creative people, creative staff, as well as patrons. And so it provides everybody a really great thing to be able to do. And then Chris was going to mention, I don't know if I couldn't hear you, that staff is using that to make bulletin boards and designs and signs. So Northwest has done a really nice job. On the next slide, right in the middle, you'll see for their art gallery, they have created a sign from vinyl with their cricket, and for their current gallery exhibit, they have done the title of the exhibit, put it right on the wall in there. So some really great things that can be done. The bottom stickers right there are just at our branch. They're about a foot in size each for our steam spot at our branch. So it's been a really nice addition. It definitely can be challenging, but it's really, I think staff as well as patrons are enjoying it. And so Maker was happy to be able to support that. Our last, well, we do have one more cricket slide for you to enjoy, but just kind of an idea of all the different things that people are able to do at the branch. This is what goes on at the quad and has been going on at the quad for the past year plus. But now the branches are able to bring that to the patrons who may not be able to get down to the downtown Reno branch on a Wednesday afternoon. So we're really happy with that. Our last area we wanted to focus on is community collaborations. And you'll see lots of logos in these next few slides, as well as some descriptions of the programs that have been going on at the branches in support of STEAM, as well as maker activities. And so everything from the park rangers, Washoe County Park Rangers, to the Discovery Museum, really big collaboration with downtown Reno. They also went to the Sierra View Library for their series of programs that they had last year. In addition to stuff in the branch, we also had some of our representatives from the branches go to the Discovery Museum last April for a STEAM and Technology Festival outreach. We'll be doing that again next month. And so a chance to meet with families and kids. Last year, the theme was on robots, so it tied in really well with what we were already doing. And just a few other programs, KTMB, State of Nevada, the Nevada Bureau of Mines and Geology, UNR, the engineering kids up there, the ME2, and we've got the Northern Nevada Beekeepers. Lots and lots of organizations who have been able to help us present these programs out to the community. Lots and lots of happy kids and parents, and supporting this STEAM, which we know is a huge, covers everything. It gets kids interested in their future a little bit without them knowing that that's what we're doing. Our last couple of slides, again, Ranger Andy brought his own snake, and UNR had turtle shells. They also had a coyote pelt from the Washoe County Rangers. So lots of different topics, including Sustain Tahoe, who brought their Earth Day Wildlife Habitat box to 2 of the libraries last year for Earth Day. So really great partnerships. And the last slide is from the Sparks Library. They have, the City of Sparks and the Generator have teamed up with the library to present a series of programs called Spark the Imagination at the Sparks Library. And so again, meeting the families and giving them a wide array of things that they can do, create, take home, think about, learn about. And so I want to make sure that the staff is recognized, not just the staff on the Maker Services team, but the branch staff that support all of that, the managers and the library administration who support that, including the Friends who does fund those for us as well. So we stay busy, and we're looking forward to what this next year will bring to us. Thank you.
Any staff announcements? Staff announcement? Okay. Board comment?
Yeah, so how can we go about researching more about the library, the tool library?
We can look at doing a grant. Things like that didn't pop up when we did our strategic plan, but we can kind of do more surveys and see if there's a need for that.
So that was on there.
What's that?
That was something that was on there.
Yeah, it was mentioned as far as our strategic planning process. So they mentioned tool library. So when I was in Berkeley, we had a tool library, and we had staff that were there who were really great. That's like going to your local Ace Hardware, and they can tell you how to use the tools and everything else. So it would be kind of a heavy lift for us to develop that knowledge and have those tools available. But there might be collaborations with the Parks Department to see about doing things like that, or providing some advice. But it's always tough to find that. Sometimes those programs just happen naturally, and it's hard to kind of create them out of scratch. But that's something we can look into, though.
Frank, do you have anything?
Nope, I appreciate the progress with the strategic plan, and that's all I have.
Okay, great. Okay, I have a couple things that just keep coming up, and so I thought I'd mention them again so that we're all on the same page. Things that we've gotten in email and whatnot. We are appointed, not elected. We don't get paid to do this. This is a voluntary position. And we do not review programming. It is completely outside of our jurisdiction. So that is what librarians do. We really are an oversight board that deals with like, budget and things that you hear about today. Yeah, I don't think that we have any intention of asking Director Scott to resign. And again, I really want to reiterate that if you don't like a program, you're not making it go.
Where we go.
Point,
So,
point.
but we are going to leave it open for those who do want to attend. So if you were here for the meeting where we did discuss it, that's kind of where we landed. So that needle has not shifted yet. Okay. 5:36. That may be the fastest meeting of the year. Adjournment.
Thinking
We will see everybody on April 19th at 4 o'clock at the Northwest Branch.